A quiet meeting at the Vatican may look routine, but it carries consequences far beyond protocol. Today, Pope Leo XIV received the President of the Czech Republic at a moment when Europe, and the world, stands at a crossroads of conflict, diplomacy, and moral uncertainty. What was discussed behind those doors was not just about bilateral relations, it was about peace, values, and the future role of the Church in global affairs. In this video, we reveal 10 shocking and important insights you need to know about this unfolding event, and why it matters to Catholics, Christian leaders, and the world. Number 1. Why this meeting happened now. This meeting did not happen by accident, and it did not happen in isolation. Across Europe and beyond, the world is facing escalating conflicts, fragile alliances, and a growing erosion of moral consensus. Wars continue without clear resolution, diplomacy is strained, and trust between nations is increasingly fragile. Against this backdrop, the Vatican chose this moment to receive the President of the Czech Republic. Timing matters in diplomacy, especially moral diplomacy. The Holy See often speaks most clearly when global systems appear most unstable. This meeting signals concern, not panic, but a deliberate response to a world drifting from shared values. By engaging now, Pope Leo XIV is positioning the Church as an active moral presence during crisis, not after it. This moment reflects urgency, a recognition that silence or delay could cost lives, stability, and the moral foundations of international coexistence. Number 2. Pope Leo XIV's diplomatic style revealed. This encounter reveals much about Pope Leo XIV's leadership style. Rather than dramatic gestures or confrontational statements, his diplomacy is quiet, deliberate, and deeply relational. He prioritizes dialogue over declarations and substance over spectacle. Receiving the Czech president personally, and then involving the Secretariat of State, shows a layered approach, pastoral at the top, strategic in execution. Pope Leo XIV does not position the Church as a political power, but as a conscience that listens, engages, and gently challenges. His focus on peace and shared values reflects a belief that lasting solutions emerge from moral clarity, not force. This style aligns with a long Vatican tradition, patient diplomacy rooted in human dignity, where conversation itself becomes an act of peacebuilding. In a noisy world, this quiet authority speaks volumes. Number 3. The Czech Republic's strategic role in Europe. The Czech Republic may appear modest in size, but its influence in Europe is significant. Located at the heart of Central Europe, it sits at a crossroads of political, cultural, and historical currents. Its perspectives often bridge Western European priorities and Eastern European realities. In times of conflict, nations like the Czech Republic can serve as stabilizing voices, grounded, pragmatic, and historically aware of the cost of division. By engaging the Czech president, the Vatican is not only addressing one nation, but indirectly engaging a wider European conversation. This meeting acknowledges the Czech Republic's role in shaping regional dialogue, especially on peace, cooperation, and democratic values. The Vatican understands that influence does not always come from the largest nations, but from those positioned to connect divided worlds. Number 4. The Vatican as a moral diplomatic power. The Holy See possesses no army, no economic sanctions, and no political bloc, yet it remains one of the world's most respected diplomatic actors. Its influence flows from moral authority, historical continuity, and global trust. When the Vatican speaks, it does so on behalf of conscience rather than interest. This meeting underscores how the Church engages global affairs through persuasion, presence, and principle. When the Holy See speaks of strengthening diplomatic relations, it signals more than courtesy. This phrase points to deeper cooperation in areas where Church and state intersect: peace initiatives, humanitarian concerns, religious freedom, and ethical governance. Renewal suggests continuity with intention, reaffirming what works while adapting to new global realities. The involvement of senior Vatican diplomats indicates structured dialogue, not symbolic exchange. This is diplomacy with follow-through. For the Czech Republic, it affirms recognition and trust. For the Vatican, it secures a partner aligned with dialogue and shared values. Together, these renewed relations reflect a mutual commitment to stability, peace, and responsible international engagement. In a fractured world, such reaffirmations quietly rebuild the foundations of cooperation. Number 6. Peace as a central theme, not a side note. In every discussion during this meeting, peace was not an afterthought, it was central. The Pope and the Czech President addressed conflicts that stretch across Europe and beyond, highlighting the urgent need for dialogue over aggression. Peace, for the Vatican, is more than the absence of war, it is the presence of justice, respect, and human dignity. By prioritizing peace in these talks, Pope Leo XIV demonstrates that the Church sees moral leadership as inseparable from practical action. This focus reminds leaders that resolving disputes requires patience, understanding, and adherence to universal principles, rather than shortcuts or unilateral decisions. In essence, the Vatican's message is clear: peace is not optional, and the Church's moral voice continues to guide nations toward coexistence, even in turbulent times. Number 7. Recovery of core values in international relations. Another critical insight lies in the Pope's emphasis on values, the principles that underpin civil and international life. In a world where expediency and self-interest often overshadow ethics, the Vatican's call is for a return to honesty, justice, and mutual respect. By framing discussions around these timeless principles, Pope Leo XIV signals that diplomacy without morality is incomplete. These core values are not abstract ideals. They are practical tools that prevent conflict, encourage cooperation, and foster trust among nations. The meeting stresses that countries, especially those at the heart of Europe, must remember that stability is built on ethical foundations, not power alone. For Christian leaders and believers, this is a reminder: faith-informed ethics can, and must, guide global decisions. Number 8. The role of Cardinal Parolin and Archbishop Gallagher. The presence of Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State, and Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary for Relations with States, underscores the depth of this meeting. These figures are not ceremonial, they are the Vatican's top diplomats, responsible for translating moral authority into actionable dialogue. Their involvement signals that discussions went beyond courtesy, touching on strategic, socio-political, and humanitarian concerns. By combining pastoral leadership with diplomatic precision, Pope Leo XIV ensures that faith and policy work together. This layered approach demonstrates the Vatican's method: senior clergy engaging directly with states, using expertise, history, and principle to shape outcomes. For viewers, it highlights that diplomacy is not only about the Pope. It is a collaborative effort of moral, strategic, and practical influence. Number 9. Europe's spiritual and political crossroads. Europe today is a region of both opportunity and tension. Old alliances are tested, cultural identity is debated, and political instability lingers in multiple corners. This meeting symbolizes more than a bilateral discussion, it represents the crossroads of faith, politics, and values. The Vatican's engagement with the Czech Republic signals a desire to influence not just governments, but the spiritual and ethical direction of Europe. By speaking to Europe's heartland, Pope Leo XIV positions the Church as a stabilizing moral presence in times of uncertainty. This moment reminds the world that spiritual guidance and political diplomacy are intertwined, especially when societies confront the consequences of conflict, migration, and ideological divides. Number 10. What this means for the global Church. Finally, this meeting has implications far beyond Europe. Every decision, every conversation, every renewed partnership echoes through the worldwide Catholic community. For believers and church leaders globally, it reinforces that the Vatican actively engages in shaping a moral order, protecting human dignity, and advocating for peace. It signals that the Church is not retreating from the world's crises but is strategically involved, combining faith with practical influence. For Christian audiences, it is a call to awareness and prayer. The moral direction chosen by leaders like Pope Leo XIV impacts communities everywhere. Ultimately, this meeting demonstrates that even quiet diplomacy, grounded in faith and principle, can shape the course of history, reminding the Church and the world that moral courage is indispensable in times of uncertainty. This meeting was not about headlines, it was about foundations. At a time when power often speaks louder than conscience, Pope Leo XIV is reminding the world that peace begins with values, dialogue, and moral courage. As conflicts rage and nations struggle to coexist, the Vatican continues to act as a steady voice calling leaders back to responsibility. If you want to understand how faith intersects with world events, and why these moments matter, stay connected to this channel for deeper Christian insight into global history unfolding before our eyes.